12 years, that's how long I gave to. 12 years of late nights at that company. Loss of early mornings and weekends too. Strategy talks and due dates for products. So when I saw the subject line, please restructure the company. If we met, my heart didn't skip a beat. It slowed down just enough for me to. You knew something wasn't right. The meeting was set for 8 a.m. Wednesday at noon, just 3 days before the company's well-known launch party. One I had spent 9 months with. Planning everything down to the smallest information. I went into the meeting room. Just at the right time, the air was thick with HR worker Kevin sat to the left of the room. Fake sympathy was almost dripping from. Andrew was sitting across from him. Harper, the newly hired CEO who had taken more than 6 weeks ago, no background with. The company doesn't care about its employees. Just sharp fit buzzwords on LinkedIn and a plan to improve. A performance. Thanks Isabel for coming in, Andrew said, putting his hands together on the table like he was about to give it to me. A raise, not a firing, I smiled politely and sat down. Of course we'll get right to it, Kevin. He got in line. Our new structural arrangement will make as the head of brand planning, your job is. The top team is being phased out. Thanks you for your years of hard work, but the choice is. Andrew didn't blink when he added the last word. You have been an important part of this, Olivia, but we're making a smaller, less stiff, valuable, leaner phased out. I looked at the papers for firing Kevin. Moved across the table. 12 years old. Split into 3 printed pages a break. That barely paid attention to my time or worth it. I could have cried. I raised my voice and asked what was going on. But I didn't because I already knew that was 3 weeks before. I had walked into the office late one night after. I saw that when I forgot my laptop. Andrew had an open email on his screen. The subject line said, left in a hurry. Isabel is not on the start list for changing out. Yes, I said. It only took a second to read, and the date was a whole month ago. Before any reorganization was made public. So I started getting ready quietly and carefully. I understand, I said now as a game plan. It was calm in my voice. These choices will never. That was easy. They looked almost disappointed. Kept my cool as if they were hoping for a fit of anger to make their job easy. I thanked them and signed the forms instead. For their time and stood to. Oh, one more thing, Kevin said. Policy, Friday will be your last day. I won't have to go to the launch party. I almost laughed. I won't have to go. Had made the launch from scratch. Designed every note and chose the guests list and even booked the spot by myself. And now 3 days before they were leaving me out of my own event, I agreed. I understood, but I didn't plan to. I missed that back at my place that. I opened my laptop at night and looked over the paper I had been working on for. It wasn't just a letter of resignation or a legal case. It was a calendar that showed events in order. A list of all the campaign products in order. Mark for the brand that I had led or. Each entry was built from the ground up. Names checked, backups of files and texts, and at the end of those. Make a copyright paper. Proof, because 9 months ago when the launch theme was just an idea at the time. Blackboard I had come up with a bold idea. A new slogan and brand language. Visual method for the thing they liked. Until Andrew took over and stopped inviting me to talks about creativity. What they didn't know I had put in for copyright for the whole launch look. Under my own name as the first creator in my spare time using my own safe and clean tools. I saved the file as a PDF so it can be tracked Launched gift Isabel PDF and I sent it along with a planned email. The time of birth for Andrew Harper. 9:30 p.m., 80 minutes after his. I smiled at the toast at the launch party. As I get to work, I'll let them have it. Their wine and cheers for them. I wasn't just saying empty words. I was going to make sure as I walked away. They thought of me by Thursday morning. Launch party noise filled the office. Flower shops delivering arrangements. Gift bags being rushed around by interns. As marketing leads look over press kits. For the 200 or more guests who are expected to. Tech Vision was about to change, so people should go. Go live was the word of the week. People didn't even look twice at me afterward. That was nice about not being seen. As soon as they decide you're already gone, but I could still get to the internal communicator, the project manager. Everything they hadn't thought of before. Took away something that Andrew didn't even. Don't talk to me again, he was too. Being shot for work. Books with people half my age on either side of me. And every time I walked it was twice as loud. Past the meeting rooms made of glass. They got together, and I saw my logo and work. My copy, my whole idea splashed. Like it had been across the screens. Brought down from heaven, but I wasn't. I stopped being angry and was patient. Thursday afternoon, I got an email. Confirmatory message from the event planner. The official list of guests and the media hadn't been taken off the CC list yet. As I slid through, I saw the names of dozens of top executives in the investors and people with a lot of impact. Thought of me as the voice behind the most successful ads Tech Vision has run. People who would definitely know my unique style of art when they saw it came out, but what I saw most importantly. The name of Lucas Bain, who started Bain and Ford made the most money. Tech Vision's growth is linked to getting money. Lucas was a serious man with not a lot of time for court drama or I had heard about intellectual property scams. Him twice at business conferences once. A few years ago, he stopped me too. Praised a program I had created. You think in a way that makes. He told them to pay attention, and now I'd make sure he had every reason to do that. I looked over the launch plan last night. Drew was going to give his speech at 9:10 p.m. They will show off the new. Putting your logo on a huge screen that. Around the room at 9:30 p.m. was the. At that time everything would be different. The document I made for opening gift Isabel. PDF wasn't just a list, it was a dossier. It showed how the growth of Tech Vision's new look was based on to talks that took place before my rejection, backed by drafts with timestamps, as well as Slack messages where I suggested. The main ideas in it were the copyright. 4 days before Andrew, the registration was made. Even joined the business. It also talked about internal messages where Andrew didn't see my job as a creative. We can let go of the best part of it. Wasn't sent only to him at the planned. Email was set to go out at the same time. To the board of directors at Tech Vision. Lucas. 3 top tech reporters should be banned. Sam Cho, my own lawyer, who had wrote a message telling them to stop. Added to the file I already had. Planned for a LinkedIn post to go live at 9:35 p.m., a summary of my 12 years at Tech Vision and my choice to keep my work after being fired and not be angry. Not petty, just accurate, polite, and with proof. When Friday morning came, I dressed with care in a black satin blouse and fitted suit were simple but stylish. Sharp, my ID card still worked, and as I walked through, no one asked me a question. The lobby of the fancy Midtown hotel that was holding the party, I fit in easily, just another boss among executives. Clink their champagne glasses. Waiters float by with truffles. Guests stood in front of canopies. Backgrounds I had made, it was weird. My hands and heart didn't beat fast. Shake, I wasn't scared, I was ready at 9:09 p.m., Andrew climbed the stage with the faith of a man who believed he had built his country from. In the scratch lighting, his face was warmed as he raised his glass. "Everything you see here," he said in a voice, "growing is because of our great team. Every sleepless night, every new idea. Every bit of imagination, well, except for the dead. We let go of weight along the way." Uneasy laugh, and some looked at me. Some people raised their glasses with fake smiles. I got up and walked. Came calmly to the stage and gave him a small white envelope. He voice shook as he asked, "What's this?" It was just loud enough for nearby mics as a surprise gift for the launch. Then I turned around and left the hall and told them the time was running out. At 9:30 p.m., the alerts began. Emails were sent and phones began to ring. One reporter sent out a buzzing tweet, a picture of the copyright certificate. Lucas Bain was already there at 9:32 p.m. calling his phone after 10 minutes of chaos. By the time I got to the last, I could walk on the sidewalk outside the hotel. You can already feel the change in the air inside. The music was still going, and the waiters still going around, but the mood had turned the moment my email got there. Tore through the launch like a quiet rocket with a polite tone and legal language, but terrible in effect. What had been a party was now taking place in real time. I didn't look. I slid into a black car instead and went back. While crossing the street, the driver, sent by Samantha, and my lawyer agreed. As I pulled away in silence, my phone lit up. 10:02 p.m. as we crossed Park Avenue. "Samantha says that everything's changing. Bain is. The angry board is already calling in. Safety first. Session, just the right time." I looked out the window as the city lit up around me. I kept thinking about go back to the time when Tech Vision wasn't around. They even said it was a scrappy. And I was one of the first 10 people to join. People we'd worked with out of a shared office space that smelled like burnt. I thought of coffee and cheap desire. Daniel Shaw, our founder, was the reason I stayed so long. He cared about people, listened, and made thanks were given where they were due. Earned. He died 4 years ago, and after that the company changed the name of Andrew Harper. Came in with good teeth and clothes. And a string of fancy words teed. The board thought he was the tomorrow. I was just a memory of the past. They didn't think the past would fight. "Miguel, what did you do at 10:11 p.m.? Andy stormed off stage, and the PR team is. Investors are in a panic and want answers. Miguel had been on my side. In the marketing team pretty sharp, and I wasn't honest with him about everything, but I had told him something big was coming. 10:14 p.m. LinkedIn, your post has been read. There were 3,258 replies and 987 comments in 44. I opened it and read some of the top answers, which is why we keep track of them. Good job on everything. 12 years of greatness for Isabel. You were fired, and you deserved better. The kind of quiet strength we should all have. To the approval felt like a dream. After being told to tone it down for years, I was told to calm down and let the team shine. Finally not being seen for the politics. I didn't do it because of the work I had to do. Back at the hotel, the damage got worse. Samantha sent me a recording from a talk to someone in the meeting. One of the helpers had forgotten their phone. Writing down on the table by accident the sound was scratchy, but the words were clear. Clear board member, didn't anyone check the name ownership before tonight's court date? We were told by the council that all assets were built in-house. Lucas Bainyor. Starting a business with copyrighted. You expect things you don't even own. We need to keep paying for this. Andy, don't worry, we can handle this. She does not wish to. A fight, and then Samantha's words came over. Cool and very sharp, cutting through the like a room. Samantha recorded something called Actually She. If you don't take down your branding things and stop rolling out by Monday, we put in a stay. Tech Vision's lawyers had by 11 p.m. talked to Samantha directly. Wanted to talk about choices, but it was too late to fix the damage the launch had already been used as an example in business arrogance. On Friday at 7:45 a.m. launch party was all over the news. CEO slammed for IP when goes off script. Tech insider scandal and a branding problem at files from Tech Vision's former director. Copyright claim everyday tech. Digest fired a woman days before the launch. Voxwire shuts down the whole rollout. The stock of Tech Vision fell 6% before the market even opened for real at that point. My email was full of job hunters. Writers, new businesses, old coworkers. I texted someone they hadn't talked to in years. An important note from Daniel stood out. His wife Claire Shaw wrote, "He'd be. I was so proud of you that I sat on the edge of my bed, putting 100 pounds of weight on my phone. That one line made me cry. Hadn't let fall during the meeting, the firing, or even getting up and leaving, because in the midst of all the strategy and planning, the laws that protect them and public posts, there was something more going on here that wasn't what payback this was." The truth: by Monday morning Tech Vision was able to stop the launch without any harm. Strategy that was supposed to take over tech. All weekend the news was frozen. Their website had quietly gone back to the old version of the new tagline image. Brand name and marketing materials were. Social media outlets have been cleaned up. Posted hazy messages about what happened. There were technical problems, and their PR team rushed to deal with the growing a flood of questions from the press at 9:12 a.m. I got an email from a different person. Derek Lomax. The problem was picked by the board. "Hi, boss. This is Miss Turner. Ask for a meeting to talk about your choices for settlement, including the possibility of licensing or a settlement of the suit. Property rights, please let us know. When are you available this week?" Derek Lomax is the acting vice president. Plan Tech Vision. I sent the email to Samantha, who answered right away. "Wait a minute, let them sweat, and we'll answer. You have more important things to do tomorrow. Today, are you ready?" I was at 10 a.m. Walked into the offices of ran into. Viatech is a new AI company that has been getting quiet attention in our business. A week ago, they reached out. Not just because of the incident, but because they knew the voice behind. The most famous thing Tech Vision ever did was given the full responsibility of creative direction, in charge of brand planning and fairness and creativity, full independence, and I could put together a team from scratch, but the real draw: their CEO Aisha Rahman had once been fired from a Fortune 500 company for being too brave. She knew that. Our meeting started with no small talk, just a kiss and a simple word from Aisha: "You're very smart. Let's make sure you can keep being." It was great. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was defending my worth, being clear about it. After lunch, Samantha and I finally looked over the terms we would Tech Vision. 2 ideas that they liked. Choices: 1. Stop using the launch at all materials right away, put out a public apologize and pay for the harm. 2. License the things from the past and going forward under my title. For a big amount of money and in public. Being aware of my part the second. The choice was kind in every way. Thought about it, but we both knew Andrew. Harper's pride would choke on the words. Public. For acknowledgement, which is why we put it in by Tuesday morning. The board of Tech Vision had gotten together for another emergency meeting inside. Someone leaked some of the meetings. Talked to Tech Insider about their story. Sent by noon was. Insiders say it's damning CEO Andrew. Harper didn't do enough to check out ownership of the new branding materials for the company, leading to a copyright argument in public. A few hours after the product came out. Shareholders have been worried about Harper's way of handling things and all the possible court fees that the business. The article didn't call me out by name. But it didn't have to already for everyone. Miguel Andrew just got up at 10:43 a.m. Thrown off of today's strategy call board. His angry word is that he's being changed. 10:55 a.m. LinkedIn direct message from Lucas Bain, let me know when you're ready to talk. I believe you've deserved more than a new title. I hadn't answered yet. I wasn't done watching it all happen by Wednesday. Tech Vision put out a written statement finally admitting there were mistakes in the creation and credit of creative works relating to the new product launch. This time, the name was stated in a formal way. We are was written in a line hidden at the bottom. Currently trying to find an answer with Isabel Turner and her lawyers. I'm sorry, but it was a business starting. By afternoon, Aisha and I were done with my deal with Viatech when the director asked me to put up a official job opening statement right away. Let's wait until, he smiled. Friday. Because Friday was the exact date. 1 week since the party to celebrate the launch. Since Andrew called and raised a glass. I was dead weight, and I had one more surprise in store. Friday morning was clear and cool. And full of hope for exactly 1 week. Since the last time I spoke in front of a crowd of managers and gave Andrew Harper a gift he didn't expect when I got there. Viatech offices in my new job as in charge of brand planning and new ideas. The office was already buzzing with energy planners, whiteboarding product ideas for marketers. Engineers are improving campaign schedules. When we talked about launch plans, it was a stark, not like Tech Vision's mindset of top-down items being held up and approval delays. It was clear that people were moving here with. In due course, I put my bag down in my new. It's bigger than my old room but not as big as. About being important and having room to. I need to think and open my laptop right on. Plan are carefully made. A post with a statement went live on LinkedIn. And on channels for business media. Isabel Turner is now Vice President of Viatech. The head of brand planning and new ideas. The post was well written but personal. It showed off my 12-year track record. Tech Vision put me on the record for in charge of their most successful projects. And told them the start of a new. The first part is based on honesty, collaboration and work with a goal. The last line said, because invention deserves more than just praise. In 30 minutes it was safety. Hot dozens of likes, lots of comments of support from former co-workers, fellow artists, and even a few old foes who couldn't help but tip. 9:34 a.m. Samantha, their hats lawyer for the company, just called them ready to agree to the terms of the rental, including credit to the public. Andrew stepped down for good this morning. I talked to Richard Donovan, who is the temporary CEO. Sitting back in my chair and letting that. It took 7 days to settle down. Take apart 12 years of being. Forgot that it would take 7 days to get back. Taking pride in my work. 7 days. The company that once said I was replaceable To write down that they couldn't go ahead without what I'd made by middle morning tech media. The Viatech had been picked up by stores. One message was especially biting. I laughed at the tech scoop title. Out loud from dead weight to director. The launch week power play of Isabel Turner. I sent Miguel the link, and he replied. Within seconds, Miguel became an official. In my letter of resignation today, starting with Baroche on Monday, you were right. He didn't see it coming and wasn't alone. Two other past team members from. It was that week that TechVision reached out. When asked if Viatech had any jobs, it did. And I was already putting it all together. The things I had into a project I had been about for years but never had the help to go after the very people who had been overlooked, not paid enough, and forgotten were now making something new with me, not below me at 12:15 p.m. A business email from TechVision's Deputy CEO Richard Donovan said it was professional with respect and most importantly, polite. I want to personally thank you, Miss Turner. Thank you for taking part in at this tough time on behalf of the board. I'm sorry for how your donations were taken care of. We agree with the rules of your license and will make a public statement about it. On top of that, we started this afternoon internal studies to stop this from happening. Going to happen again. I hope this answer gives you closure and that you're next. A lot of people will recognize this part. It's been yours since the beginning. The draft of TechVision's email. Public statement that they were aware of me by name and making it clear that the advice on how to make the original start had been planned by me before my firing, which the company felt bad about not recognizing my work and was now. I got permission to use the brand through my that I owned. It was everything I had asked for and not because I wanted cheers, because I wanted the truth. At 3:00 p.m., the notice went live for investors. Reacted well and calm return to their stock, but the web had already it picked its hero, and it wasn't the guy who once drank to letting go of the dead weight. That night, Aisha came by my office with a bottle of and 2 glasses of for justice to be done, she said, champagne. As I poured, I raised my glass to getting stronger as the sun went down around the city, and in our drinks made a sound. I knew something deep in my bones. This wasn't just a win, it was a change in how women in top roles are seen in how much academic work is worth, and how quiet can be the most outspoken answer. But I still wasn't done, because a win is just a moment. What you do next is what makes it. Didn't matter the next year. I stood behind the scenes at the National Women in Tech Leadership Summit, making changes to with the microphone stuck to my collar. The host's speech could be heard throughout the hall. She told me about her. Please welcome our major speaker and leader in the field. A voice for brands and a company. Isabel, bring new ideas with honesty. Turner, the cheers were warm and comforting. I earned the right to step into the light and pass the curtain and saw a sea of faces, leaders, business owners, students, engineers, some of whom I knew. Some I didn't know, but a lot of them did. Knew my story, which had turned into a cautionary story for business boards. And something people shout in break rooms. Today, a year ago, I started packing a cardboard box, not with sorrow but with memories, not with anger but with. To be clear, I told them the truth of what happened, not just the news stories, the cleaned up company statements, the truth about how easy it is to adopt new ideas. Take it for granted that friendship is only when it suits them and how they like it. I'm told to sit down, as are many others. I will be quiet while other people take the praise. I said it was dead weight. Not because I didn't have anything to say. I did what I did because I knew it would. This is stronger than my anger ever could be. It was quiet in the room. This isn't just a clever play or a story about writing rights. At a launch party, you should own your. After that, work on your voice. Dozens of women, some of whom were just. Some in college with decades of experience. Getting ready to talk to me, one whispered. I began writing down everything after. Reading your story, I didn't know I had rights. My company just gave me, said someone else. Thanks for a line of products I made after. I told them how your situation played. They were not fangirling, they were awakening, and that was more important than anything. The following week, I went back to Birac for our 3-month plan. Miguel in session and 3 other former now Tech Vision coworkers were sitting around that table with me. We were making plans for a new approach that is big and bold. Collaboration and original work. No one was trying to be better than the others. It looked like someone had all the answers we came up with together. It was always going to be that afternoon. I got a sleek envelope in the mail. Desk with only my name and no return address. Written in neat, careful handwriting. Inside was a short note written by hand. Take note of the compliments on your success. The board now talks about you with respect. From the start, they should have quit. You were right, it was never just business. R.D. Richard Donovan, the CEO who took over. Andrew, a man who came after his predecessor, was humble instead of proud. Leaving now that Tech Vision had. When they got new leadership, things got better. The return was slow but planned. They had bought the logo package. Publicly thanked me and all of my investors. File, and most recently they had. They asked me to talk at their company. I didn't say no to the escape out of spite, but because I finally moved on after all. That month, Aisha called me to her room. Biotech office. She gave me a single with a smile. Sheet of paper that the board has agreed to. Your rise starts right away. You are now in charge of business and innovation. Officer I. Closed your eyes. That's exactly what you deserve. She said that when you stand, you don't just build. Isabel, your efforts make people believe in. People with a goal in what's. It's possible. I didn't cry or cheer. Took a deep breath because it was the first time. In my job, I wasn't trying to show anything. The next day, I lived by my value. A new nameplate showed up outside my. When I touched the office door, I felt the letters made of metal. Isabel Turner. 12 years of being fired from CBIO. Left out. Pushed too far, and now my name was. The place where it belonged, not in the notes that aren't behind the scenes but on. The door to the paper on the record. Where everyone could see it but no one. It could go wherever it wanted.